How's it going, guys? I was just watching Bill Maher on TV and I had some inspirations I wanted to share with you guys. It reminded me of a conversation I had with a friend of mine or an acquaintance of mine on Chinese New Year. And it really gave me some clarity on some things. So, in a nutshell, I feel that when I polarize certain things, things that are, good or bad, when I look at someone and I see something negative about them and then I polarize that, it clouds my entire filter of that person, meaning what I see is the negativity. And when I do that, I demean and I prevent myself from learning any interesting things from that person or from seeing the good and the divinity in them because I've already kind of crossed them out in my mind with judgment. So I know we only have a short amount of time, but basically I wanted to preface by saying that I've had the privilege of connecting with a lot of societies and some interesting groups of people. Some of these societies some people would call secret or whatnot, but just very interesting things. And I was having a conversation with this gentleman during Chinese New Year's that's a big fan of Bill Maher. And in the conversation we talked about Eastern religions and we talked about all kinds of things, and we ended up somehow segueing in a conversation about the global elite, right? Or the top 1% of society that tends to control everything else. And in this conversation, the man had said that, he said that most people that are poor or that, live on the bottom of society, as he put it, aren't going to be able to survive. They're not going to be able to find education. They're not going to be able to take care of themselves, and so they should just be eliminated. And when I heard him say that, I didn't jump the gun and just get completely pissed and try to protect my own beliefs and kind of shun him for saying that. Even though it did take me back, I continued to listen to what he was saying. And I vehemently disagreed, but I listened. Now, why do I tell you this? Well, I tell you this to explain that had I jumped on him or had I completely cut ties on that conversation, and it would have prevented me from learning a lot about the agenda of people with minds like his, if you catch my drift. You see, and so we had this conversation and we talked about spirituality and religion and a lot of things, and he knew that my side is that of a spiritual nature where I believe that all human beings are inherently created equally and that inherently we all have the same light or the same God. Well, this man was a diehard atheist, and he explained that the top tier of society, or the top of the pyramid, so to speak, basically they desire to kind of control the masses. They kind of want to turn society into people that thrive and people that are in the global elite to the average man is just kind of a slave or a drone in a way. And we got to wake up to reality, and there are all kinds of different realities, but some of them aren't exactly pretty. And some of them really bring controversy to our truths, and there are a lot of different segments of society that do have agendas that don't have our highest good, at all. They don't want anything to do with our highest good. They want to create their good. They want to kind of, push that agenda in and make it reality. And if you look around, there are a lot of beautiful things in the world, and there's a lot of awakening going on. But I can say that world transformation is ultimately, in my humble 30-year-old opinion, is a personal journey. It starts with us working on ourselves. If 6.5 billion people work on themselves, then magic can happen. If each of us began to really become these powerhouses of positive energy, we can ripple that effect and cause other people to kind of move up so that we can all be our own version of the top. Not necessarily in the monetary way. But the bottom line, I had the conversation with this man, I listened to him, and I didn't like him, but I wanted to hear what he had to say. And I knew that if I let my filter shut everything down when I saw that he was a misogynistic, dictator, evil asshole that really wants to kind of wipe out, all of the lesser people and kind of just control and consume at the top, then I wouldn't have gotten to understand the pearl of wisdom that lied in me listening to what he had to say in a mature way, without judgment. By definition, judgment is invalidating something that we don't prefer. I certainly didn't prefer his reality. But as we continued in the conversation, I learned that inherently the man is an atheist, nothing wrong with that, but he doesn't believe that there is any pervading force or power greater than us that can actually create change. So that limits his perspective of anyone kind of rising up out of the ashes, so to speak, to create beautiful things in life. And I disagreed with him, and I said, I disagree. I said, I do believe that there are many people that would rise up if they knew that it was possible. If they had messengers like me and like you guys to go out there and say, look, there is hope, and we can help you. We can show you how to fish. But you see, just giving people fish, doesn't really solve the problem. That enables people to continue to be in the same spot that they're in. But if we as world changers, as people that are motivated and compelled with these awesome visions to create change, act as source, act as responsible for what happens in our world, then we can really cause some momentum and show people how to find this power within themselves. The fact is that it starts, world change, which is happening now very rapidly, it starts with one person, It starts with one person taking responsibility and owning the fact that this world is not the way we want it to be. It is not, right? I'll speak for myself. The world is not the way I want it to be. And until I accept responsibility for the way the world is, until I accept responsibility that it was us that destroyed the ozone layer, then I have power to change it in my own way. So the last thing I want to say is there was a interesting story, and it was on Facebook. It was a little cartoon, and in the cartoon there was God, right? And there was a young boy, a teenager. And the teenager asked God, in bubble, the text was in bubbles, asked God, why is there all this suffering in the world? Why is there all this pain and this agony and this evil in the world? These terrible atrocities that are being committed. Why do you allow this, God? Right? The teenager was saying this to God. And in God's little bubble, God says to the teenager, in a loving and a compassionate way, I was about to ask you the same thing. Let that sink in for a second. You see, whose fault was it? Is it God that destroyed the ozone layer? Is it God that has caused this chaos and this mess? Or is it man that has inherently used the gift of free will that God gave us to make the world what it is today? So when you think about that, you could see how much responsibility we really do have. Why is there all this suffering? Is it because of an outside force, or is it because of human beings? So on the other side of the coin, we have the power, collectively, we have unbelievable power to really create beauty, and we have the power to see beauty in everything. We have the power to see past our own judgment, to quit comparing things from the jigsaw puzzle of our past experiences, instead look at things objectively, and then we can assign meaning that empowers us instead of disempowers us and causes us to be victimized. So I hope that made some sense. I'm going to go ahead and post this up online. So thank you guys. I love you. And just kind of take this as food for thought. Thank you.